Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, everybody. How's everybody doing this morning? Top of the day to everybody. Good morning, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram. Let me check over here and see what's going on. Go live, go live. All right, here we go. So here we go. We are in cahoots now. Let's get in cahoots this morning. All right, there we go. So, good morning, everybody. Top of the morning to you. Eddie Williams Sellers coming to you live from Atlanta, Georgia. Look at me, I'm alive this morning. Good morning, TikTok. Happy Friday, everybody. I woke up this morning, it was all foggy and gray and rainy. Oh, I see a robin in the tree. Yeah. Squirrel, squirrel. Good morning, OC Dog out there. Good morning, TikTok. Thank y'all for the hearts, the follows, the hellos, the good mornings coming to you. Ava's out in the studio doing a little writing. And then we've got some running around to get out. The sun finally came out here this morning here in this Atlanta. Thank you there. Love the print on this shirt. Yeah, I kind of like it too. It's kind of lively, isn't it? I don't. Good morning, Sexy Red. Coming to you from East Point this morning, sitting here in the confines of my little dining room in this little house in East Point, Georgia. I got up this morning. It's warm enough this morning. You know, January, we had 2 snows and it was cold. Good morning, Marcy, over on Facebook, coming to us from Nevada. Good morning to you out there. But yeah, I got up this morning and I just went out and sat in my, I've got a little back covered part of the deck and sat out there and just did my morning writing out there this morning, had my coffee, and it's so pretty here. Oh my God, it's just like spring in Atlanta. It's like 75 degrees here in the afternoon. The sun's already coming out this morning. Yeah, and you know, every year, I'm 69 years old, and every year that I can remember any part of my life, we'd have all these blackberry winter, and this winter, it means once it gets warm, it'll get back cold again, and we know it's going to get cold again because it's only really around the 1st of February. But then I was thinking this morning, what if this is the first year with global warming and climate change and all like that maybe, what if this was the first year like, oh, winter left at the end of January and never did come back this year? You know, which I kind of like the cold weather and it having a little, because I love sitting by a fire and I love the ambiance. Atlanta native, former East Point resident, now in DC, OC Dog. Yeah, in DC. You know, I'm kind of disappointed. I'm not going to go to DC for the next 4 years, and just for my own personal reasons. It just has a weird energy with Trump in office. But I love DC. What a wonderful time to get away to DC for a few days and do touristy stuff and walk down at the mall and all the monuments. And it's just such a wonderful place. And I know people's like, well, you ought to go on and enjoy it. My family live in Chosewood. Man, Chosewood, if you're talking about Chosewood over by McDonald Boulevard and the Chosewood neighborhood around Atlanta, good Lord, they're building hundreds of townhomes and homes all over Chosewood now. So expensive over there. You know, and Cabbagetown and Chosewood and all that area used to be kind of low end, not no more. I want to move back. Isn't Atlanta wonderful? I mean, yeah, I could see where not only you want to move back, a lot of people want to move back to Atlanta. Atlanta's got very expensive, y'all. Very expensive. Yeah, but I guess it's like that everywhere. I guess it's like that in Birmingham and in Memphis and in Nevada and Reno and Philadelphia. I guess everywhere is expensive now, you know. I come from an era where people pay a lot more for their vehicles now than we paid for houses back in the 70s and 80s and all like that. So anyway, everybody, good morning. Coming to you from Atlanta, Georgia, sitting here in my dining room, going to get my day going, feeling feeling pretty good this morning. You know, some days you get up and you just feel the weight of life upon you, and you got so much to do and so much is going on. And some days you get up and you feel like, well, this is going to be a good day. Um, um, you know, yeah, people do retire and get out of here. Yeah. So good morning from California, Miss Suzanne says. We are getting much needed rain. Well, that goes in California. Much needed rain. California is always in need of rain. Y'all remember the song, the big hit, seems it never rains in Southern California. Seems la 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 la. Oh, it never rains in California. But girl, don't they warn you, it pours. Man, it pours. Such good music back then. I still, one of my favorite songs about California is about San Francisco, that Scott McKenzie had just a one-hit wonder about be sure to put flowers in your hair, if you ever go to San Francisco. John Bell said, I like your singing, man. Good stuff. It never rains I get my guitar out. We'll put on a concert on here. No rain here in Las Vegas since May. See, I drove from Atlanta, and we skirted around the edge of Las Vegas, but we drove from Atlanta out to San Francisco, through Montana, through Texas, and all like that. We was gone a couple of weeks or so. Ava and I did about 10 years ago. And I love the desert. Honest to God, we was Alamogordo. Is that how you say that name in New Mexico? But Alamogordo, something like that. But anyhow, we stayed in a hotel, and I swear to God, it was around White Sands Monument, and it was like 93 degrees that afternoon. And about 10 o'clock that night, I went out to smoke a cigarette, and I had to put a jacket on. It had dropped like 45 or 50 degrees from the day to the night in the desert. And I thought, good morning, Chris. I had thought, man, I kind of like that. I mean, it's blistering hot in the daytime, and then the night got the drastic temperature dropped. And I'm not there trying to smoke a cigarette. And I'm like, good God, it's cold. And then I could hear off in the distance coyotes. I'm like, I would not want to be walking around out here in the desert, Let's jam. I sing and play bass. Maybe we ought to get together, some of us. I'm just being silly this morning, but wouldn't it be something if some of us singers and musicians, 5 or 6, 7, 8, 10 of us, got together around the Atlanta area? So let's get together and create a musical venue of some sort where we get together to sing and play. But anyhow, everybody, good morning. It's the weekend. I don't really have any plans this weekend. Well, when I say I don't have no plans, I'm going over to Heather's house to work tomorrow, to start putting her fence up, her gate, build her a gate, to try to get her house wrapped up and done. So I've got stuff to do. I want to go down to the Habitat in College Park in a little bit. They open about 11 o'clock or so. We're hunting a chair for the house. I like to scurry through deals at Habitat. I post one on Memorial Drive every week over here on Facebook, on my Facebook page. But anyhow, I'm looking forward to this weekend and enjoying life. I'm just looking at some of these comments. It's weird when you do these lives. Like, I've got my phone on TikTok over here, and when you're looking at comments on my little phone, and then you got the other comments over here on this app. I don't know if I'm sold on StreamYard. Yet I'm on StreamYard, and StreamYard allows me to go live on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram all at the same time, with this one thing right here. And I do, yeah, it's kind of okay. Hey, thank y'all for the hearts this morning, for the follows, for the gifts. On TikTok, I don't think there is nothing like on YouTube and Facebook and Instagram like this, but on TikTok, people put money's in a reserve account. And then if you're on there and if you want to support somebody, you can just send them a gift. It could be a hat, it could be a mustache, you could do funny things with their face, but at the same time, you're putting, you give them a nickel, dime, quarter, here, whatever. It's kind of like it's kind of interesting now. And the thing about it is with doing lives, yeah, it seems like a quarter here and a dollar there, or whatever. But at the end of the month, it kind of adds up, and it's kind of like the Chinese come up with that. On Facebook, you need to give me a cash app, I guess, to get anything or your thing. But anyhow, it's interesting to say the least. Good morning, TikTok, coming to you from Atlanta, Georgia, this morning. Just killing some time waiting for Ava to finish up what she's doing in the studio, and she and I is going to get out here in a bit. It's so pretty. I'm going to run me an outside bath at some point in the early part of this day, and I'm going to soak. I like to take my outside bath. I like to put a little baby oil in it, a little cup of Epsom salt, and a cup of baking soda, and so you create this mineral bath. That's probably, I've sat in hot baths in the springs at Toboken down in Costa Rica, and it has all these phosphates and minerals in that warm water bubbling up in the creeks out of the earth. It's amazing. Me and John used to love to go soaking, and you can't stay in there long because it's actually, some parts of it's pretty hot, but you soak in that, the warm springs, they call it, and your body absorbs a lot of that nutrients. That's why I like getting into the ocean also, because your body just has a good natural balance of salt water, And so when I soak in my tub out here, I put in Epsom salt and baking soda and baby oil, and just kind of take a good soaking bath. But anyway, everybody, good morning. Good morning. What a beautiful time to be alive. Everybody, I have spring fever already. There's a place, it takes about 45 minutes to go to outside of Atlanta in Loganville, Georgia. And it's called Growers Outlet. And good morning, Pam. The one and only, the famous Pam Wentz with 2 M's on her name. Sweet, sweet lady. I love her to death over on Facebook. But Loganville, Growers Outlet will be opening up before long, and just all kind of stuff you can go out there and do. Love you too, Pam. But anyway, y'all, we're all alive. We're all breathing. We're all paying bills. We're all dealing with problems. We're all holding our head up. We all staying strong. We all got stuff we're dealing with and going through. And my daughter, Heather, she's been now for about 7 or 8 months homeless, staying in an apartment, and her house caught on fire, and we just on the verge of getting it put back together where she can finally go back home. She told me the other night. Let me see what Jill wants. Hello. Hey.
Grab the phone. Well, hold on.
Yeah. There's that. Just getting called. I ain't gonna interrupt my live for money. That's money calling. Something about the shop. But she'll call me back in a minute. My daughter Jill actually owns A1 Blueprint Company. I signed it over to her maybe 10 years ago, and I just let them deal with bookkeeping and accounting and paying taxes. And I'm still heavily involved as long as I'm around. I'll tell you something. I'll tell you how my daughter Jill is. She's so sweet. Let me see what she wants. Hello. Hey. Yeah. You get a lot of those. You get a lot of them. Yep. Yep. Well, that's why I tried to keep Caleb away from those calls because Caleb's so tenderhearted, he gets sucked into those calls. He's like, I'll try to help you, but we don't, if we can do it, Caleb's so sweet, he don't know how to turn calls away. I charge her 40. Yeah, I charge her $40 for them. And then on the other card stock, just charge her what we said. All right. All right, bye. See, and I tell you the thing about here's what I know about myself. Anything you can think of, I'm gonna, sometimes we have to just take account of who we are. And here's what I understand deeply about myself. I am a walking encyclopedia, a world of knowledge when it comes to reprographics, blueprinting. I went to work at Georgia Blueprint when I was 16 years old. And eventually I went to work at Georgia Blueprint. They hired me for $2.35 an hour at 16 years old to ride a bicycle around Atlanta, making deliveries on a bicycle. Well, the owner took a liking to me, Chuck Allman. And about, I guess, 2 or 3 months after I went to work there, I was down on Jackson Lake fishing, and I got caught fishing with no fishing license, and I took off running. Well, the game warden had my driver's license or ID or whatever. So anyhow, he was talking to some other people. Well, I'm a 16-year-old boy. Good morning, Dora. I take off running. I just like shit on him. I ain't paying no $20 fine, whatever it was, fishing no lie. I took off running. So so anyway, I was like, well, I didn't think no more about it, because I was back in Atlanta. Jackson Lake's about, 50 miles down here south of Atlanta. So I'm at work. So Chuck comes out there and says, Eddie said, I just got a call from the Butts County Sheriff's Department or something. They're coming here to lock you up. I'm like, what? He said, yes. And they know where you work. They coming to get you. And something said they want you to call them. So I called them and talked to the sheriff's office. They said, yeah, we're coming to arrest you if you don't come down here and turn yourself in. It was like at that point, because I'd made it worse than what it was. Good morning, Shannon. I'd made it worse than what it was. So at that point, it was like $100 fine, which was a lot of money in 1972. I think 72, 73. And so anyhow, I told Chuck, I said, Chuck, I guess I'm going to bed. My boss, he's an old Southern Baptist, I said, Georgia, big Georgia alumni, paid a lot of money. Had seats on the 50-yard line, all the Georgia games, like eight tickets there. Had a lot of money. And I was just this boy from Cabbagetown. And I told him, I said, Chuck, I guess I'm going to jail. I ain't got the money. He said, I'm going to loan you the money. Go down there and pay this bill, and I'm going to loan you the money. Well, it meant a lot to me. Just meant a lot to me because he was real stern and not very loving and stuff. But I could just tell he thought I wasn't that bad of a guy. Good morning from beautiful Sand Mountain. I get my daughter Heather says I get my criminal issues from my daddy. No, I ain't been in jail. I ain't been in jail as much as you have. But let's don't tell our business out here for everybody be talking about us. But anyhow, he gave me the money, and I went to work at Georgia Blueprint. Now I'm going to get back to my point right here about the shop over here. I went from riding a bicycle at Georgia Blueprint to the very office. That building at 119 Lucky Street downtown had a fancy office that the president sat in. The big guy, the owner, Chuck Allman, Matthew Spearman before Chuck. Boy, I mean, it was a 3-story building, basement, first floor, second floor. And at one time we had about 72 employees and had an office back there. Well, over time, I went because Chuck sold to Dan Stevens, and I went from being a 16-year-old bicycle boy, delivering prints, not a penny to my name, to that was my office. People would come, we'd sit in my office. I mean, and always in my mind, I always had that 16-year-old boy, that's Chuck Allman's office. And I sat behind this big old wooden desk, could close my door, talk on the phone. People tipped to knock on the door. You got a minute? Yeah. I was the Chuck Allman at some point from the 16-year-old boy that was sitting in that office every day. I loved it. So a good morning, TikTok, coming to you from Atlanta, Georgia this morning. So here's what I learned about myself when I left that company after 27 years and started A1 Blueprint. I took with me a world of knowledge that I learned from the 16-year-old boy up to that point. So even like now, when Jill or Caleb will call me and say, Daddy, how about this and how about that? I know everything there is, cost, what we should cost, how much we can sell it for and still make money, anything to do with blueprint and construction drawings. I'm a world of knowledge. So, but anyhow, earlier when I say my daughter Jill was so sweet, I remember she was in school. She's a registered nurse by education. And she worked at Northside Hospital delivering babies for a little bit. I'll tell you this little story. But hey, TikTok. Hey, y'all over there. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Hey, everybody. Good morning. Good morning over here on Instagram. How y'all doing this morning? But anyhow, when Jill was in college, she went on a school trip to London, and she came by my house in Grant Park. Well, I always been one to keep cash around, so I had $800. I knew she got credit cards and all like that. And so she sat in my kitchen at Grant Park, and I had $800 in a little envelope. And I said, I want you to put this somewhere where you don't lose it. You don't never know. I'm like, even going, she went to Brussels and London. I said, I don't care if they don't take American money. You need to always have money on you. And I had her $800 in a little dig in the shirt, brother. Thank y'all. I'm getting comments on my shirt this morning. Thank you there, Ryan. So anyhow, we start to show you how sweet my daughter Jill is. We sat in my kitchen. I said, I want you to put this $800 in this little envelope somewhere. Keep it on you. You don't never know when you might need money. And she's like, Daddy, no, I'm fine. I've got a little money and I've got credit cards and this and that and the other. And I remember telling her this, I've always been quick on my feet with coming up with thinking until I'm almost now 70 and I can't remember what I had for breakfast yesterday, but I've always been quick on my feet coming up with and when she told me, she said, no, Daddy, you just put it up and I don't really need it and this and that and other. And I told Jill this, I said, Jill, as long as I'm alive, you let me be Daddy. And I want you to put this $800. She said, well, all right, then. I said, and I told her, this was years ago. I told her, I said, there'll come a time where your daddy won't be here no more. I said, but as long as I'm here, you let me be Daddy. And if I want to give you $800 to take with you to London, you take this $800 and put it somewhere. So, but she's always been so sweet like that. And so anyhow, she was in nursing when Savannah was born, and she was working the delivery. Well, she said, you talking about stressful? It's just like assembly line. One woman after another. Oh, Jill's got to be right down there in the midst of that and help get that baby out, because, the nurses do all the work, I love that you support her all through your life. Yes, I do. I love her. Love my daughter Heather too. But Jill was working as a delivery nurse at Northside Hospital, and I'm telling you, registered nurses, and I think if I ain't mistaken, she was making like $50-something an hour. Of course, the long hours. She made good money, and so anyhow, I told them all back 10 or 12 years ago, I said, I'm going to close the business down because nobody wanted it. I said, I'm going to retire. I'm going to sell the corner. I said, I'm going to be done with it. Well, a few days later, her mother, Kathy, called me and said, Eddie said, Jill actually would like to own the business, if you're going to close down. And I'm like, what? Hello, Paul. Good morning to you. I said, what? I said, well, that don't make no sense. She said she hated working here. And so I told her, I said, well, tell her to come over to the house this evening and we'll sit on the porch and we'll talk about it and see if we can't figure something out. So Jill come over and, she's real funny. She don't never want to say nothing to hurt me or, I'm her daddy. She don't want to say nothing offensive to me or nothing like this. And she's very soft-spoken and somewhat timid. And so we're sitting on the porch and I said, well, she said, well, yeah, I think I would like to give up nursing and run the blueprint shop. And I told her, I said, well, Jill, I said, none of that makes sense to me. I said, when you worked there, you hated it. Said you wanted to get, you didn't just hated it and wanted to leave it. And you got a job, went to school and you registered nurse now and you're making good money and you just always act like you hated it. She's like, Daddy, I didn't hate it. She said, I hated working with you. I'm like, what? She said, if you're not going to be there, I would love to own that business. I just don't want to work with you. I'm like, oh my God. Oh my, now I get it. It was me. I was the issue all the time. She's like, well, Daddy, you can be such an asshole sometimes. I just don't like working around that, and I think it is hard for kids to work with their, Heather worked there for a while. Heather worked there for 10 years, actually. But I think sometimes it is real hard for family to work together. I don't know if it's really healthy for family to work together because you just kind of, the work can be stressful and, so, but anyhow, y'all, I'm going to get off of here and go enjoy my day. Come back on this evening. Maybe I'll get Ava to join me. I noticed something last night when the numbers, that flowed across here, when I have Ava on with me, 15 years Heather worked there. Yeah, you did your time, didn't you? You'll get your part of your inheritance one day when the building's sold. Over here on TikTok, family businesses can be extremely toxic. Most people understand that. A family-owned business, it can be rough, especially when you have somebody like myself who's an A personality, who's very dominant, where it's like, yeah, we're going to do this, and whether you like it or not, it's going to be done. I'm very, I'm not I might come across, a lot of people perceive me as being this old, sweet Southern Andy Griffin type, Aunt B, how y'all coming, laying hands on the sick and praying for people and kind and sweet and all. I can be all those things, but I'm a natural born asshole. I don't know if any of the rest of you would admit that about yourself. Have you ever known somebody that was just naturally a born asshole? I call it being sardonic. I call it being quick-witted. But in the midst of that, a lot of people can perceive that as just being an asshole. The name of our business is, and I don't apologize for it. It got me through life. I had a customer one time that came into the shop and he complained about everything, just complained about everything. Oh, this print right here should have been there. And this print over here has got, just nobody liked him. Nobody wanted to work with him. Everybody hated to do an order for him. It didn't matter what it was. He always complained about everything. So he come in there one day and his order was $69 and some change, whatever. And he said, well, I tell you this and that and the other, I could have went out to LDI and got it printed for $1 a page cheaper and this and that and the other. And I told him, I said, well, why don't you drive your ass out to Gwinnett County and do that? Because it'll come in. And I just told him, I can be very honest with people sometimes. I just told him, I said, here's what I'm going to do today. I said, this order is $69. I'm going to give you this order. but you're to never, ever come back in here again. We don't want your money. We don't want to deal with you. You have negative energy. You make everybody hate to have to wait on you. And this is the last order, and it's on the house. And I bid you good day, and take your ass out of here and don't never come back. So good morning, Big Jake. Good morning over there. Thank y'all for the gifts on there. I'm not ignoring you on TikTok. Y'all are the givers over there. But anyhow, the name of our business is A1 Blueprint. And he took his little robo. He was in a huff, and he got to the door, and he looked back at me. He said, I know what the A stands for in A1 now. And I'm like, what's that? He said, asshole. You are an asshole. And I'm like, well, you take your asshole self out of it. So I do know this about myself. I'm a very dominant personality. You know, although it can be harnessed way in. And I'm also one of the sweetest, kindest people you'll ever meet in your life. And I think we all balance that, the asshole part of us and the old, let me see what I can do, you know, to encourage somebody, whatever. We walk in all of that. Good morning, Penny Wynn. Good morning, all y'all people that's joining on TikTok. Good morning, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Let me get off of here, y'all. I've been told a couple of stories here. But it's going to be a beautiful weekend. If some of you, let's just enjoy it. You know, what can we say? Love y'all. I'm going to hang up. I'm babbling at this point.